How's it going, guys? This is Tyler from Hunt Central, and today we're going to dive back into the model train videos. I know a lot of you have been asking for these to come back, and we're going to start with a little how-to I wanted to make of how I model my sidewalks for HO scale in a pretty cheap and simple way. So without further ado, let's get started. So all the supplies you're going to be needing today are pretty simple. You're going to need the balsa wood, which is what I use. There's the price tag right there. I get it at Hobby Lobby. Pretty cheap. You're going to need a modeling knife, any sort of ruler or straight edge, acrylic paint, country gray. I basically just buy this at Walmart for 50 cents. That's just the color I choose. You can use anything. A paintbrush and tacky glue. So first what I'm doing here is I'm going to just cut off the excess of what I don't want. This was basically, usually I will cut it down to size. This specific measurement, if it works for you, it worked for me. You won't have to cut it down to width-wise, but what I did here is I just did cut off that rough edge that was a cut from a previous project. So all I'm doing here is just cutting that off with the X-Acto knife, and all you have to do is just take, this wood cuts very easily, and you just have to take your knife, cut straight, try to cut as straight as you can. You'll have to do less sanding at the end, and you can just cut off that extra piece. And then I like to just go smooth it out and get all the little splinters out. You can also do this with sandpaper, but I usually just do it with my hobby knife because it's right in my reach. So next what I'm doing is a pretty important step, and that's marking where the cracks are going to be for the sidewalks. In most sidewalks in real life, there are small cracks wherever, in about every few feet or so. And what I'm doing here is I'm just marking with a pencil on the wood about every inch. I usually just start at 0 and just keep going up, and then I do the same for the other side. This I've noticed is the best. I've tried a few different things for spacing, but I've noticed that this is the best and simplest way to space the cracks out. And like I said, that plays a big deal into realism for sidewalks, given that that's how they are in real life. Next, what I'm doing here is scoring the lines / cracks into the wood. So what I do here is I use the back of the X-Acto knife. If you use the front, you do risk cutting the wood like we did in the beginning, which isn't exactly what you want. What I typically do is I just do 2 swipes per crack, and this can be a little difficult to get it perfectly straight, which is why I'm using a straight edge. And even with the straight edge, mistakes are kind of unavoidable, and you may make some extra little cracks or chips that you don't want. Now you can get rid of those with paint, but they're really pretty unnoticeable once you get it down with the rest of the scenery. So I typically don't worry too much about that. But like I said, I go about two swipes through per crack, and that seems to give a pretty good design, and it seems to stand out enough. If you do it too much, then you will risk the wood splitting in half, and that's not what we want. And like I said, if you do use the other side of the knife like we do normally for cutting, then that also isn't going to be what you want in this case. So like I said, you will get some of these rough spots when cutting it, like I'm pointing out here, but you can go back and try and get rid of it and neaten it up as much as you can. And that's what I'm going to be doing in the next clip here. Now you may not be able to get rid of them entirely, and you also, like I said, may be able to sand or paint over them. So you may get some imperfections there, but I like to go and just get rid of the splinters on the side that may have appeared when we were scoring the lines through, and just kind of neaten it up with my X-Acto knife Now this can be done with sandpaper as well, but like I said, I just used the hobby knife because it was right in my reach. So next what I'm doing here is I'm going to paint the sidewalk. Now the color I use is country gray. That's about like a concrete color. Now there's a lot of different colors you can use for the sidewalk, including the natural color of this wood. Wouldn't be the worst, but this was the best that I had available to me here in the train room, so I did decide to use this. In the future I may use different colors depending on what the road color is, so it doesn't match the road, because we don't really want that. But in this case it's going next to a fresh blacktop road, so it should look pretty good based on the color of the road and the sidewalk. But this is as simple as just dipping the paintbrush in and just brushing it evenly along the entire sidewalk. And like I said, I do get this acrylic paint at Walmart. It's 54 cents and they have a ton of colors to choose from. So this is a great alternative if you're on a budget for a model railroad, and they do just as good as any of the products do online that you may buy. So once you let that dry for a few hours, the next step is to glue it down into place. Now, like I said, my choice of glue is tacky glue, and it's as simple as just spreading the glue around on the back. I usually just put it on there right out of the bottle, but you could also use a brush if you'd like to get it a little more neat. But I usually just do this and then simply press it down like I'm going to in a moment here. Now the only thing with this wood is that it is not treated, so it may bow a little bit. That's why I like to put a heavy object on it sometimes while it's drying to kind of hold it in place. There you have it, guys. That is a quick, easy, and cheap way to glue down and create model railroad sidewalks for HO scale, and this can really be used for a lot of different things in a lot of different scales. It may not look as good as it would if you use a different material, but this is a good way to do it that I have discovered here. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed this and this can help you out, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy railroading.